Mom, Dad, I just have to say, it breaks my heart watching you stress over dinner every night. This year, I don't want you doing the fridge stare down. Hot take. With the new Blue Apron, eating healthy is easy. They've got pre-made and one-pan meals with plenty of balanced nutrition. No subscription needed. You could be plating like a chef instead of negotiating with leftovers. Make it your healthy, tasty, and easy 2026 dinner resolution. Just saying.
Get 50% off your first 2 orders plus free shipping with code LISTEN50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
I don't know about you, but I'm buzzing my flipping head off about Man United right now.
It's good again, isn't it? It's so good that even Gary Neville has decided to get behind the team.
Well, I mean, he was behind the team already in a way. Just Anyway, let's not harsh the mellow by talking about Gary Neville, who maybe is unbanned from the Rantcast, but I'm not sure about that yet. The Reading game
not been a good few
happened...
weeks for United-related pundits, has it? We'll come on to some of that.
Yeah, definitely. It has been a good few weeks for United-related players and staff. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial idol is clearly Alex Ferguson, because that third-round performance against Reading was the most Fergie thing I've seen at Old Trafford since May 2013.
Well, made lots of changes, which I don't think too many people would be sad about, and won the game comfortably enough, just about.
Thoroughly disjointed, absolutely awful performance, but clearly a level of quality above Reading.
Rolled the tombola.
And he played all the fringe players like Alexis Sanchez, so what could you expect? Then
young kid on the block. He might be all right, this Sanchez. Probably not.
Do you think so? Nah. I think he's bobbins, to be fair. I'm not sure.
Destined for a career in the Championship alongside Luke Chadwick and Terry Cook.
A young player who came on in that game and is definitely worth talking about is Tahith Chong. Then put in an excellent performance in the under-23s in midweek after his debut. That's a kid with an awful lot of talent, and didn't particularly have much to do against Reading, but it's going to be interesting to see if he gets any more cameos, although the cameo-suitable games are probably slightly running out now.
Well, especially with Arsenal to come in the FA Cup, away from home as well, so not too many games that don't really count for much. Perhaps a few players heading out on loan as a result, perhaps, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. But we're here to talk about the main event, the feel-good moment of the season. So there's this video which Dips MUFC on Instagram. Lots of you who travel with United will know Dips, but she posted this video of the Ollie song, the Stone Roses Waterfall song. That is, the song of the moment, obviously. And after how good does it feel? Some geezer just shouts out, "It feels effing mince!" And he didn't bleep himself, obviously. But that moment, I genuinely got goosebumps when I heard that for the first time, because that guy is all of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just that United are playing well and it's great. It's what came before it, isn't it? This is only 6 games, and of course we can be a bit more rational in our analysis and say it's only 6 games. But after 5 years of absolute bobbins football and 2 under Jose Mourinho of feeling like the soul was being sucked out of your body, I was saying on the Rantcast WhatsApp group during the game, I was feeling anxious about the game for the first time in forever. I was desperate for United to win. Not that I didn't want United to win before, but there's just something about hating football with Jose Mourinho in charge that takes the edge off it. No longer.
I just couldn't agree more. This was by far the most emotionally invested I've been in a football match since Stockholm. And really a lot of Stockholm for me, because I didn't go, a lot of Stockholm for me was about the fact that just professionally I was covering United a lot of the time, and having to spend the summer dealing with United not having Champions League football the next season would have been horrible. So it felt like I had a massive bet on the game. But this was pure. There's no ulterior motive there. This is just, I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United to win this game of football. So let's talk about the game. What did he get right? What did he get wrong? What did we do well? What did we learn? All the good questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming into the game, the criticism, if there's any criticism or the question mark, was, could he do it against a decent team? Because United had played a bunch of teams towards the bottom end of the Premier League and Reading in the FA Cup, and everyone was waiting for him to be outthought by Pochettino, the great new manager on the block. And that wasn't so. Actually, the manager who sprung the big tactical surprise was Ole, who came up with something extremely innovative. He'd played straight 4-3-3 in every other game, and here he's played Rashford and Martial as sort of wide inside forwards and Jesse Lingard as a false nine. I mean, who saw that coming? I didn't see that coming. And some very astute analysis of that by former Red Darren Fletcher on Match of the Day, I thought, by the pundits during the game, I guess, fairly obvious there. But, he's obviously seen Tottenham's biggest weakness in that they push their fullbacks on and push their central defenders wide. And he's basically put Alderweireld and Vertonghen in an extremely uncomfortable position, having to defend against pacey attackers running with the ball. And just gone for the jugular straight at Tottenham's weakest point. And the contrast with what would have happened, and I know we're not going to mention his name, but what would have happened with the former incumbent of this position, it just couldn't be starker, could it? Because here United would have gone to Wembley and tried to play out a 0-0 draw. And Ole being Ole and being the Fergie disciple has gone for it big time and taken a huge gamble, of course, because what he did in playing that formation is gambled that United wouldn't lose the midfield battle. And to be fair, for the last half an hour of the game, United did lose the midfield battle and Pochettino adjusted. But big praise for Ole for his setup and how we went for it.
I mean, it was just like, you're right. I really don't want to be boring about this, but you can't think about this game without it being such a stark contrast. Friend of the show, Simon Stevens, was in the away end and said that the last away end he'd been in was the West Ham one, and the difference in atmosphere was, obviously it was like as marked as could be at that point, but the difference between sort of identifying the opposition's team's weakness and try and exploit it rather than identify their strengths and try and negate it as the sort of fundamental philosophical underpinning of your approach makes so much sense, as we've said over and over again, with the squad that we've got. Now, there's no question that Solskjaer got fortunate on two fronts in order to get the win. This game, more than any other game, reminded me of the Champions League final of 2008. I thought we were massively on the front foot and the better side in the first half. And not that there was a tremendous amount in it, but I thought we'd fashioned slightly the better chances. Actually, if you look at the XG, almost identical for the first half. It's only really in that last half an hour where Tottenham were creating and we were really on the back foot that separation occurred. And obviously, we were 1-0 up by that point. I mean, we should talk about the goal. A mistake in midfield from Spurs, but this was the World Cup final all over again. This was Pogba to Mbappe, only instead it was Pogba to Rashford, who's obviously better than Kylian Mbappe.
Obviously. Well, I think on the basis of this game, he's definitely better than Harry Kane.
and of course, this was one of the arenas in which I said he got fortunate in two arenas. One, David de Gea played excellently. The idea that they were all straight at him is just obvious nonsense. But also Tottenham were not quite at it in the very cutting edge last final third, because there were definitely opportunities to put the ball in a place where David de Gea simply could not have saved it, and they weren't taken.
Yeah. I mean, Spurs, for all Spurs' 23 attempts, Spurs' XG is just under 2. And I'm not sure that actually really is. I think it's one of those occasions where it doesn't really tell the full extent, tell the full story to its full extent. I'm mumbling my words there, but because, some of those chances felt like better chances than that for the quality of player that Spurs have. There was obviously a pretty good chance for Harry Winks early in the game from sort of the inside left channel. He's neither shot nor crossed. Very good chances for Harry Kane and Dele Alli in the second half. Very, very good chances, I think. And obviously a couple of free kicks that went pretty close. The Alderweireld flick at the near post, so perhaps 2 really big chances and 4 or 5 very good ones. And when you put it like that, it feels like that should add up to more than 1.86 XG. But it didn't exactly. So, fortune for United there, I guess, that Spurs weren't sharp with their finishing. It's definitely not fortunate that United have got a player of David de Gea's class. I mean, I never quite understood that argument. Is it lucky if you've got a player of Ronaldo's class? No. I mean,
No.
But United earned that luck, I think, with a really good first half performance. Really, really good. And let's not forget, apart from the goal, United also had some, good chances too. There's a Pogba header, the Pogba long range shot that took a clip off the heels of I think, Winks again.
There was the one which I don't even know if it will register as a shot on XG when the ball came to Lingard in the 6-yard box and he got kind of caught in two minds, and that was a superb opportunity to do something that was fairly early in the game in that spell where United were right on top.
Yeah, I mean those sort of half chances. One where Lingard's lashed it wide. I mean, it's almost gone out for a throw-in, hasn't it? So might not register. And then the other one where Rashford's gone down the sort of inside left channel and should have pulled it back for Lingard. I mean, it's such an obvious ball to play.
Yeah.
And he didn't. But look, this was in a system that was designed to play with pace and movement. It's not like United were sitting there deep with a low block and trying to spring out, but they did want to be able to put Vertonghen and Alderweireld under a lot of pressure and exploit their space, because Trippier and Davies get forward a lot and sometimes in pairs, and there is space behind those two fullbacks, and Solskjaer and his team identified that, and United figured that they were going to outscore the opposition.
Which they did.
And for a game with, so United had 14 chances, Spurs 23. So, near enough 40 chances in the game there. It was a hell of a lot more exciting than a 1-0, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, it was a pretty thrilling, especially the first half was a pretty thrilling game. The second half was a bit like watching, especially the last half an hour. Actually, the first 15 minutes of the second half, United were fine. It was just that last half an hour which I actually don't think is a reflection on United hardly at all. I mean, the one way I guess it is that we've got a problem in the kind of central defensive hub, both in terms of literally the central defenders and Matic. That's fine. We don't need to do this again.
No.
We've literally done it every week. But
there's credit to Pochettino here, because he switched the formation around from their sort of 4-3-1-2 to a 4-2-3-1 and got an extra body in midfield, and they did win the midfield battle then, and they just monopolised possession, and United found it hard to do what they were doing before, and they didn't push the fullbacks forward nearly as much. And that might seem less attacking, but actually it was more attacking because they got control of the area of the pitch where United were breaking from. And so credit to Pochettino then. It took Solskjaer a little while to adjust to that, I thought. And by the time he started making changes, actually at that point, they made a reasonably sensible decision to try and close out the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Solskjaer's tactical decision right from the off, I mean, this is the kind of stuff, like, obviously we can't talk about this game without talking about the great what ifs of the future. And I would still maintain that no one has enough data to say what they should do, really. But this is just us talking about United, and we like them, so we're allowed to say whatever the heck we like because we don't have to make any decisions. But at the end of this game, I am a fully paid up part of the problem. Like, I'm getting Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's name tattooed on my arm, and like United manager for life. Like, I have absolutely no interest in anyone other than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being United's manager at this point. And this is in part because of something we'll come on to talk about even a little more, which is the feel-good factor, which is not a small thing. It is literally the whole point of the whole thing. In fact, forget talking about it later. I'm going to talk about it now. That watching like the Full-Time Devils fan cams after the game, and just like the whole thing takes place in this cacophony of the Waterfall song being sung just behind where they're doing it the whole time. The atmosphere is absolutely incredible. And yeah, we've won 6 games on the bounce, but we've won 6 games on the bounce under other managers. Like Mourinho won 6 games on the bounce.
9 at one point.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And the atmosphere never got close to this. And so it's a really special, meaningful, beautiful thing. So that feel-good factor, that we've got that's cast in stone. We know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the living embodiment of the feel-good factor. So what you're looking for then, people often say like, oh, is it, if we get Champions League football, or if we win this, or this result, that result. For me, like the only thing that I'm going by is intangibles and kind of gut feeling, more or less, about stuff which is tangible, which is stuff like, what's he like tactically? Like, what level of sophistication does he have to bring his kind of influence to bear at a really high level as a really high level football manager? And this game was a fantastic representation that whatever else, whether he gets it right or wrong, he's definitely got stuff about him as a creative thinker about football, as someone who's going to look at the pieces, look at the opposition, look at our strengths, and put together a system that you wouldn't. I mean, the decision to play Jesse Lingard as a false 9 in that game is absolutely revolutionary. Like, it's an extraordinary decision. I'm not saying it's a brilliant decision, like it's amazing. I'm saying it's extraordinary in the sense that it's such a surprising, remarkable thing to do.
Yeah, it is, and demonstrates a level of confidence in his own abilities that one might not expect of a young manager who's never had a really big job before, has failed at his only previous attempt at managing in England, and is only the interim.
In where? Sorry, in where?
Wales. And in the English Premier League, and he's only interim, right? So might be expected to make some more conservative choices. Or maybe he feels like he's got a free hit now. It'll be interesting to see later in the season if it's really going well still. Whether he continues to make those really bold decisions. But yeah, I agree. Look, it's, on paper it looks like a straight up matching of Tottenham's system, but it definitely wasn't that. It was they definitely played in a different way than Spurs were, and it was set up to exploit to the maximum amount possible Spurs' weakness, with the trade-off that it might expose United's weaknesses, and of course that's a decision that is the polar opposite, and we've talked about this before, polar opposite of the previous manager. Look, in terms of the future, well, we've got time, and United buying themselves time with Ole. It seems that Pochettino is still number one choice, and the result on Sunday shouldn't make any difference to how United think about it. I hope they're being strategic about it and working through the best choices for the club, and of course emotionally people are invested with Ole because he's a club hero and he really gets the club, and it's been great for the first 6 games. First 6 games don't win United the Premier League again, which is where we want to get back to, or the Champions League, of course. And if Ole is not that man and Pochettino is, then they should make the right decision and appoint Pochettino. I'm a bit more worried about some of the other names reportedly on the shortlist, because some of them aren't that at all. And there's a lot of very different flavours there. A lot of press coverage of perhaps Diego Simeone being on their shortlist as well. That might just be United sounding out every possible option, and it getting leaked to the press. Who knows? But Simeone couldn't be more different. He's more in the Mourinho camp. Very successful.
part of the dance, isn't
Part
it? With
of the
if
dance.
they are going for Pochettino, it's part of the dance. I mean, obviously, like Solskjaer, there's no dance needed.
No.
It's 7 million to Mulder, and that's
and
done.
he'll take the job in a heartbeat, of course. Yeah, and
Yeah.
lots of discussion before this game, of course, about Pochettino, as you'd expect in the build-up, and some papers taking diametrically opposed decisions. So the Times has always been in the camp that Pochettino wanted to be considered for the job. Would seriously consider it. He's not saying he'd definitely take it, but expects to have an elite job at some point in his career, and doesn't really think the stability at Real Madrid would suit what he wants to achieve. So, but that's not where everyone is. So it's kind of interesting, that narrative. I don't know whether they have a better inside track on Pochettino than others, or are just being harder with their line. But he's not going to get offered the job in January or February or March, And in fact, I'm quite sure if Spurs are still in the running for anything, he's going to keep it very close to his chest for a long time. And with every single game, Ole is, gets another opportunity to get that job, doesn't he? Every time United put in a performance like the one on Sunday, he's a little bit closer.
W. Brighton at home on Saturday. Listen, who knows what's going to happen, but the way we're playing, the way things are going, this is a very popular letter of the alphabet at the moment. There's something about the football that I want to talk about as well, which is, and another like fairly bold Solskjaer decision is, like, Marcus Rashford is ahead of Romelu Lukaku in the pecking order at centre forward now. There's just no question about that, and there's absolutely no way that would have happened under Mourinho. And it would only have happened under Mourinho to make some weird twisted point. Like, it's absolutely right at the moment. Like, as I've said so many times, I really like Romelu Lukaku, and I was buzzing when I saw that his name wasn't on the team sheet, not because I hate him or because I think he's rubbish, but because of what it says about how prepared to be bold Solskjaer is, and how he's, just the simple fact of picking a player on form. Like, it's such a, Lukaku scored a lot of goals recently. He's not in terrible form himself, but there's that goal that Rashford scored, like killing a massive crossfield pass at absolute breakneck speed and then slotting it into the corner whilst, because the move there, I think what pretty much everyone in the ground thought was about to happen, including probably Lloris, is that Rashford was going to cut back inside because there was a defender just about to get on him that he could have cut behind that defender and shot. But instead, he took the shot first time in the far corner, and that's why it was a goal. Right,
and he spent the week previous doing shooting practice with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And maybe it's those details that really make a difference, because we have seen timid finishing from Rashford. We've seen brilliant finishing from him in the past as well, but also some timid finishing. That was the kind of finish that makes you believe that he can score 25, 30 goals a season, and all that sort of brilliance up to the final moment can translate into brilliance in the final moment as well. And that was a great finish from a very difficult position, and there's a foot in which he can get that into the net. Lloris has got fingertips on it. He's an international goalkeeper, a very good goalkeeper, and wasn't able to get there.
And, this is, once again, this argument that you'd hear over and over again, which is it's not Jose Mourinho's fault that his strikers are missing chances. And you're looking at this thinking it absolutely is Jose Mourinho's fault his strikers missing chances, because this is about confidence. Like, the thing Rashford did in it wasn't the Cardiff game, it was the Bournemouth game, I think, where he skinned the lad and then he skinned the other lad and he knocked the ball across to Pogba. The confidence to try that, then pull it off, and then the whole kind of steamroller effect that this has all had, the fact that his place in the side is absolutely secure now, means that he can take that shot first time, and almost like slightly deliberate, one of those slightly deliberately not perfectly clean finishes, so it rolls into the perfect place. That's a striker bang at the top of his game, and you don't do that unless you feel good about your abilities as a footballer.
Yeah. I think that's right. Mention for some of the other players who really performed well. Obviously, Pogba dominated that first half. The kind of
struggled in the second half.
Yeah, but I mean, as I said, the Spurs were basically 5 against 3 in there in the second half. But very good in that first half. And Herrera immense. His numbers are huge. Matic, decent performance. I mean, he's got 2 or 3 interceptions there. He was even sprinting back. I mean, in the way that Nemanja Matic can sprint back.
Have you got Herrera's numbers in front of you, Ed?
So here are some of Anders' numbers. 10 ball recoveries, 10. 3 clearances, 2 interceptions. Didn't win any defensive aerial duels. Slacking. 2 chances created, 6 tackles, although not all of them successful, but he's always going to try putting in a reducer. I was actually looking up his season defensive numbers, his defensive actions across all the metrics. So interceptions, duels, clearances, recoveries, tackles, blocks. And he's averaging about twice per 90 across those metrics that Matic does. He's obviously played fewer minutes than Matic has, but he's really, really high, up with the biggest names in the division. For a player who doesn't really play in a defensive midfield position, but he is a busy,
He's he loves to put. I mean, there's also the off the scale number of times he's narked opposition. There was one bit that really annoyed me in that game when they were when Trippier started on Martial for not kicking the ball out, when Sissoko was injured, came back onto the pitch of his own volition when he could easily have stayed off the pitch. Spurs had the ball, didn't knock it out, and then when United were attacking, they were supposed to knock it out because he was limping a bit.
Nonsense. Yeah, total nonsense. Anyway, we were talking about players who did well. Lindelof thought had another very good game. Jones didn't half make me nervous any time he got near the ball or the ball got near him. Especially a lot of crosses coming in from the right-hand side. So, I mean, criticism sure here. I don't think he was getting close enough to Trippier.
I don't think Luke Shaw is having a good season at all.
He's playing a lot of minutes, and he's. I don't think he's making a lot of mistakes defensively. I think he could have cut out a few of those crosses by being closer. He's not contributing nearly enough going forward. In terms of I
don't think he's
not contributing much going forward. His numbers are 0 basically.
Yeah, and he's not contributing much defensively either. And I'm worried. I think if we massively upgraded our left back next season, whether that's through Luke Shaw rediscovering himself or getting a new one, I think we'd look a better side again.
I'm thinking right back and a central defender might be coming before that one.
Yes, sure, absolutely, and that's right, and rightly so. I'm just saying, I'm on alert about Luke Shaw. I'm nervous.
Anyway. Don't spoil the good vibes here. And we're still talking about players who had good games. We didn't even really mention David de Gea. 11 saves in that second half.
All right, let's talk about this straight at him thing. I have to say, there was only 1 or 2. Well, in fact, Solskjaer said, didn't he? There's only a couple of those saves that weren't saves you would expect him to make, which I think is fair. But a few things about that. One, eventually, you don't make one of the saves you're expected to make. Normal goalkeepers don't, because, just sheer volume of numbers, you make a mistake possible. Secondly, positioning, right? There's a reason so many shots are straight at him.
Yeah,
and thirdly,
Ben Foster made that point on Twitter, although controversial because he spelled goalie Goally and not Lie.
I mean, that's not controversial, is it? It's just bad spelling. Because the thing is, if you're going to go with a Y, you don't need the double L. The double L is totally unnecessary. Anyway, there's that, and there were a couple of saves in there where you're just looking at going, anyone else, anyone else, and that's a goal.
Yeah, I mean, he's the amount he saves with his feet is sort of well known, I guess. But he and Solskjaer made a kind of point in the press conference saying he could have caught a few of those. But he's just so quick. He's so quick, and of 23 shots, it didn't ever look like they were going to beat him.
There were a couple where I thought they were going to beat him.
Well, of course they did beat him, but Kane rightly ruled out offside.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot all about that. I think I was watching that thinking that's not a goal at first, like straight off. So that was not too terrifying. When the Rashford's goal went in, I just lost it. I just completely, like watching the game on my own on telly, just completely lost it, like making ridiculous high pitched noises and stuff.
One other thing to note, kind of controversial incident involving Paul Pogba. He's gone to protect the ball and ended up clattering Dele Alli just above the knee studs first, which Souness lost the run of himself. Fully in the run of himself, and suggested that Pogba should get a red card for that. Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think that's accidental, but I suppose there's an interpretation that could say that was dangerous play. Yeah,
it's reckless, isn't it? The Souness criticising people for that. Anyway, I genuinely never want to talk about Souness and Pogba again because it makes me feel physically sick when I hear him talk about him. Like, genuinely, it makes me feel ill. In kind of other controversial Paul Pogba moments, nice of Ole to give the full troll to Jose Mourinho by taking Pogba off for McTominay as his injury time substitution.
Hi, Jose.
He did take off an attacker for a defender, but then he played that defender at right wing, like legitimately, not like right wing back, not extra cover. Diogo Dalot just playing straight up right wing for the last 10 minutes of that game.
He did. I thought the interesting thing in the second half, obviously Spurs had an awful lot of possession and United were happy to sort of drop a little bit deeper, which is, if you look at the passes per defensive action, there's a real peak in the second half. It's over 20, so Spurs playing an awful lot in front of United. Again, I think speaks to sort of Solskjaer's tactical flexibility. I didn't get the sense that United were panicking. I did wonder whether he was going to make a substitution a bit earlier, perhaps bring another body on in midfield. But he didn't seem panicked by what was happening. He took his time and then brought Lukaku on for Martial, who didn't have a great game, didn't have a bad game either, and he played his role pretty well. But he did that so he could play a little bit more direct. And I thought United did that pretty well, and it's an interesting facet. There's no dogma here. United will play good football, they'll play pacey football, and they'll play direct football if needed too. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, then just like I said earlier, the feel-good factor, seeing all the videos of the fans. I've immediately started trying to get a ticket for Saturday when I realised it was a 3:00 kickoff because... just seeing it, I was just desperate to go now, like desperate to go and be a part of the crowd and part of the atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. Haven't got a ticket though, so Paul at unitedrant.co.uk. If you can hook me up, listeners. Not on Twitter anymore, you see. So
So how do you spell that again? EDITOR at UnitedRant.
Yeah, if you got two tickets, let us know.
I can't go on Saturday, but I hope you find a ticket. I'm sure there will be some available, and enjoy it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. And if that's not possible, I'm sure it'll be possible between now and the end of the season. But just wanting to go feels good. Like you were saying, like being nervous about the result just felt amazing. Like, football is silly. You're choosing to emotionally invest in football. It's not something you have to emotionally invest in. It would be quite low down on Maslow's hierarchy of needs in terms of what's actually meaningful and important about the human experience. But togetherness, shared experiences, joy, abandon, freedom, release, all of these things are meaningful and they're what football is for. And when you don't have any of those, then football just becomes this kind of like, okay, yeah, you can appreciate it technically or whatever, but it's very dry and almost sad. So it's one of those things where you almost don't realise how much you're missing something until it's back. And then you're like, oh yeah, this is really, really different. It's really different.
Anything else to say about the game?
No, we've got loads of stuff to talk about this before we get to Twitter questions, though. We wrote a list. We've got an agenda, a news agenda.
Well, we know you've got an agenda, Paul.
I got so many. I've lost track of all my agendas. I'm fine now. The only one left is Antonio Valencia. That's it.
Well,
he's the last one.
Story this week that he's on the verge of joining Inter Milan in the summer.
I mean, that would be wonderful. I would wish him well. Imagine if he really quickly learns Italian.
Barely speaks a word of English. 15 years in the country. Yeah.
Exactly. I was so pleased that Solskjaer didn't pick Valencia even though he was fit. That was a lovely moment again. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this a couple of weeks ago and forgot. But somehow, hardly anything's been made of this. But the second week or something, or maybe the third week, I think it was the second week, they had Alex Ferguson in for training. The brilliant thing about this is there's been absolutely almost no PR about it. There was one article in the Mail, which was obviously like a briefing, and then Mike Phelan referred to it in an interview that he did on the official United app. I suppose maybe it was on MUTV or whatever as well. Ferguson was just in training, not for PR or to keep the buzz and the feel-good factor going, but just so you could have Alex Ferguson in training. And, I don't know, that felt really significant and special to me that had happened.
Giuseppe Rossi's with the squad training as well. Perhaps we're fully going back to the Fergie days.
The thing that it made me think of is something that you said a lot around the end of the Moyes era, which is that having people who have a relationship with the club isn't just about emotion. Not that should even necessarily be discounted as a good reason to do it, but institutional knowledge is a really significant part of any organisation. And if you've got an institution without institutional knowledge, you're really missing a trick. And the level of institutional knowledge has gone through the roof in the last few weeks.
Yeah, that's right. And there's been some continuity from the previous regime because Carrick and McKenna are there, both promoted.
And the goalkeeping coach.
Whose name I've completely forgotten. And you remember?
I don't think I ever knew it. No.
And it'll come to me. And obviously, Ollie's done a very sensible thing and brought Phelan back. I mean, he's often derided as tight shorts, putting the cones out. But, there's...
By you, mostly.
By me, mostly. But no, there's more to him. I mean, look, obviously, he never made it as a manager, Phelan. After leaving United, I think his biggest gig, he had 6 months at Hull and a spell at Norwich that went wrong and ended up as director of football, an A-League side. So it says something about his limitations, but, years and years at United as a player and as a coach and under Fergie, that's invaluable.
Yeah, and just because you're not a good manager doesn't mean you're not an amazing assistant manager. And also, just because you don't do a good job at Hull or Norwich doesn't mean... I mean, this is the Cardiff thing. I feel bad when Ole Solskjaer's Cardiff spell gets mentioned because when he took the job, everyone was saying it's a win-win for him because the owner's so crazy and the situation's so untenable that no one's going to, remember if he flops. Whereas actually, it's all anyone talks about. So, anyway, I feel a bit similarly about Mike Phelan at Hull. Patrice Evra.
Very nice video he put out.
Lovely video. Now, I had a question for you about that, actually. You quote tweeted that video, because I do browse your tweets.
I think the word is lurk.
Yeah, that's right. No, browse your tweets. That's different. You quote tweeted that video and said a few of the United players could do with watching this on repeat. Who did you have in mind? Who do you think at United doesn't get the club in that way and doesn't appreciate what they've got?
Going Osounes here, should I? No, I don't know if I had any particular players in mind, but I don't want to sound like I'm one of the Mourinho cultists because clearly,
I don't think that's going to
clearly
happen.
I'm not. But I'm going to echo a thread that has been said by that group, which is some of the players didn't, to some extent were not giving everything, and that's there's a lot of things in that, right? They weren't performing to their optimal level, and I think my argument would be they were not performing to their optimal level because they weren't very happy and didn't believe in the manager, and there's a lot of that. But there's also, the kind of professional pride thing, I think, towards the end dipped, clearly, Some of them played so badly in some games that you'd have to try hard to play that badly. And Ollie's fixed a lot of that just through confidence, and some tactics, and liberation of the team, but a lot of confidence. So I think what I meant was, some of them forgot some of that professional pride. I don't subscribe to the belief that everything that was wrong under the Mourinho was all about the players. And if only the players had been replaced, it had all been great and United would be at the top again, which was basically the default Castle's view. Castle's stroke cultists.
I mean, there is no delineation between those two things. The only difference is that Castle's is literally being paid to do it. I mean, by which I mean his job is to write about football. Yes. Just to be clear,
and he uses his
absolutely nothing libelous about what a slanderous about what I just said.
It wouldn't be slander if he was being paid. He's allowed to get paid.
No, he's allowed to get paid, but I'm not allowed to say that the reason he's writing his opinions is because he's been paid off by certain powers to say those things.
It's not the BBC. It doesn't have to be neutral. Anyway, so I don't know whether that was clear there, but
it has to be factual. You can't just accuse people of stuff where you've got no basis for it except a hunch.
Well, for it to be libel, we're broadcast here, slander. So it would be slander, but it has to, in the mind of, how's the wording? Right thinking or right mind, sensible minded, something like that. The reputation of the person has to be diminished. So I don't know. Would Castle's reputation be diminished if people thought that he was being paid off by Jorge Mendes because you said it on a podcast?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I'm not a lawyer. But anyway, I didn't say it on a podcast.
Sounded rather like it. I mean,
Anyway, all that being said. I thought it was an interesting take on it because I think what we've seen really is that the players blooming love being Man United players. Like, they absolutely love it, and just give them a chance to express themselves and give them a chance to kind of really be Man United players, and they're going to be the happiest bunch of players in the world. That's kind of what I thought about that. But the video was absolutely beautiful. The next thing I wanted to talk about was producer Tom shared with us this thing from Football 365, which is just a list. It's called The Ridiculous Stats about, I can't remember exactly, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Man United, The Ridiculous Stats. That's what it's called. It's on Football 365. I've just picked out a couple. There's a list of, I think, 19.
21.
Number 21, right, okay.
Read below the advert. There's two more.
Oh. Manchester United scored 5-3, 4-2 and 2 goals respectively in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first 5 games in charge. It was the first time United had scored at least 2 goals in 5 consecutive games in all competitions since April 2008. That is a mind-blowing statistic, that is. I mean, partly it's a quirk of the fixture calendar, but you would think that at some point in the last 11 years, there'd been a similar quirk of runs of easy-ish opposition.
Yeah.
Mind blown. And the second one that I thought was just so telling, Man United led for 397 of a possible 1,530 Premier League minutes under Mourinho this season, 25.9%. They have done so for 306 of a possible 450 Premier League minutes under Solskjaer this season. We've been in the lead, 68% of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's league tenure so far. Bonkers.
Yeah, great article there, and of course, much of it ramming home the same point over and over again. It was bad. Now it's good.
It is now good. Yeah, it's just so stark when you see the numbers. The numbers they're just really, really jarringly stark. Like, I picked those, and I could have picked 3 or 4 more that were similarly stark. And talking of stark, a person that we on this show have praised to the hilt, and me in particular, I think I had him at number 1 when we did bonus content on ex-United players as pundits. What is Rio Ferdinand doing? It's genuinely disgraceful. It's devoid of fact. It's almost like he's decided he's just going to be a shock jock about this one thing. He was challenged on his relationship with Sports Direct. So if you're not in England and somehow have missed this, Rio Ferdinand has been ferociously defending Mike Ashley's ownership of Newcastle United, which is, as someone who cares about football on any level, which Rio obviously does, disgraceful. It's disgraceful behaviour.
And he's been called out for it widely. And he praised Mike Ashley's ownership, said he'd put £50 million into the club. Said
he has not.
That I'll get to that one. He hasn't, but there are some caveats. He said that they should be thanking Mike Ashley for bringing Rafa Benitez in. Although, I mean, European Cup winning manager at a club like Newcastle, I suppose you could make a case for it. But it appears to have been motivated. I mean, because he could have just sat on the fence, couldn't he? Appears to have been motivated by money. And everyone's allowed to make money, I suppose. But if you're a pundit, perhaps you ought to disclose that. And it was called out. On
I mean, he denied it. He said it's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, well, maybe, fine, if that's the case and he just believes something which is just wrong. On the season, I mean, there was a season when Newcastle got relegated and Mike Ashley loaned the club £33 million of his own money. He was also paid back £18 million from a previous loan. So net of 15, somewhat different than 50. Maybe Rio got his fives the wrong way round or something like that. But yeah, pretty odd punditry. And he's normally, pretty good bet for good sound analysis, isn't he?
He called Newcastle a yo-yo club. They've been in the Premier League 23 out of 25 seasons. He said on Twitter, your club's turning a profit, no debt, and playing in the Premier League. And as Alan Shearer quoted, the last club accounts tell you they're over 140 million in debt. Like, it's really, really... Because football...
Isn't that mostly to Ashley? I think it is.
But that's...
It's still debt,
you got 150 million of debt on the... I mean, obviously, listen, you could tell us better than anything. It's not necessarily bad to have 150 million pounds of debt on the books. It can be really useful. But anyway, the point being, he's just factually inaccurate about a rant which is kind of philosophically wildly inaccurate. And it's the same kind of thing that happens whenever United players talk about the Glazer ownership. Carrick praised the Glazer ownership in his book, excellent owners and all this kind of stuff. It's like when they're suiting your needs, they're excellent owners, but
sure.
there is a broader point. I was listening to Second Captains and they had this American guy on who wrote for the Wall Street Journal, I think, and he's written a book about the emergence of the Premier League as this financial powerhouse. And he was sort of saying there's this old style of ownership in Britain that was kind of like that saw their job as to be custodians. And he was almost saying that as a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it just doesn't, ownership of that nature doesn't exist in the US. The owners are there to make money, and the leagues are set up to allow owners to make money. In fact, they have provisions in some of the league structures that specifically lock up money that the owners can take out over and above the wage cap. So yeah, that kind of ownership. I guess it's a thing of the past now, but think about where football came from, and perhaps someone coming from the Wall Street Journal, an American journalist, wouldn't understand the 150-year history of football in the UK. But it's really only in the last 20 years that owners have started buying up clubs to make a profit. Most clubs in England were formed out of societies of some kind, working men's societies, schools, churches, social clubs. Ownership didn't really come around for quite some time afterwards. United was only really owned when the club was in financial trouble, still as Newton Heath. And after that, did have families of custodians. Now, I don't want anyone to think that the Edwards family, Louis and then Martin, were completely neutral, benevolent dictators, because they weren't, because they made a lot of money out of United, made a lot of money IPOing first time round. They took money out themselves. They weren't completely neutral, but they weren't there in the kind of American sports franchise type of ownership. Ashley has been completely different from that. He is there to spin out a profit. And in fact, probably the reason why he put money in the season when Newcastle were relegated was to ensure that the price of Newcastle remained high, because it's probably 3 times as much in the Premier League as it is in the Championship. And he's been trying to sell the club for what, more than 2 years now.
Yeah. And talking of people who are displaying staggering ignorance of the facts on the basis of serving some weird agenda, Neil Warnock's a complete and to hell with the rest of the world is just the best example of literally everything that's wrong with literally everything.
Yes, Warnock on his Brexit rant. Probably the least surprising proponent of Brexit.
Exactly.
I mean, like, if Sam Allardyce came out with that view, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I would. Like, Sam Allardyce bought Fernando Hierro and JJ Okocha, and, he's a cultured man in the world, Sam Allardyce.
We'll see. Warnock, his club is owned by a Malaysian businessman. He has 10 different nationalities in his squad. But, of course, post-Brexit, he'll be kicking them all out and going, good old British players.
To hell with the rest of the world. To hell with the rest of the world. Like, I mean, imagine thinking that and saying it out loud in a public forum and like being like it's a good thing. And imagine hearing that and going, yeah, I agree. What's wrong with these idiots? Anyway, that's a question for another time.
By the way, I mean, not to sort of, shame Warnock here, although maybe we should. I think he's had some plastic surgery. His face is looking weird. I mean, it's like it's been stretched across his face, as well as being a dumb Brexiter.
Do you think that he just is trying to look as much like Tony Soprano's mum as he possibly can? Because he does already, and he's getting the work done to make it look even more. Listen, if he wants to get work done, that's fine. I'm not sure he has. I think it might just be he's got old man outside too much face, outside in the cold too much. But he probably likes the cold because warm countries for weak foreigners. Anyway,
really odd. We put a few other things. Brexit's Gary Neville, British jobs for British managers. He hasn't actually said anything about Brexit, has he, Neville? Not.
I'm sure that he is anti-Brexit from a fully neoliberal perspective.
Yeah, well, the EU is a neoliberal conspiracy to defraud the working man of his rightful ownership of the means of production. So says Jeremy Corbyn, Inc.
Listen, anyway, let's
the economist coming
definitely
at me
not. Let's not have this conversation.
I think I wanted to mention Neville because it's interesting, the kind of change in tone, because he was so on board the Mourinho train. He wanted Pogba to do one. He was amongst the cult, wasn't he? And what did he say yesterday? He said, United have found an identity again. This is the best we've seen. Most I've been enjoying United for years. Change that up a little bit, Gaz.
It's so odd, isn't it? He's I don't know, he's a strange man, Gary Neville. I'd love to spend, 6 weeks, on holiday somewhere where Gary Neville's also on holiday, so you periodically have conversations. You're not around him all the time, because I think that'd be a lot. You can get away, but you just bump into him every now and again, and he's up for a chat, and you kind of what did you really mean when you said this, Gaz? I think that'd be good. Anyway, but he's banned.
175 to 1 to become the next United manager. Fancy some of that? Warnock's 300 to 1. Maybe worth a punt.
Honestly, if they give the job to Pochettino, I'll be okay. I mean, I'll be happy. That'll be fascinating to watch and see play out. If they give the job to someone else that isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I'm going to be sitting being arms crossed, pouty face. You're not my real dad. We're back to Moyes territory here. It's going to be this podcast. Talk about agenda. This podcast is going to be disgraceful if they give the job to someone that isn't Pochettino or Solskjaer.
God. Laurent Blanc it is then.
Did we got any Twitter questions? I know we've been doing the show for an hour, so we'll just probably do a couple.
We have about 80. So
okay, Okay, well, are you up for doing a bit of a proper slog over these? I'll tell you what, let's do the Brighton preview now. We're playing Brighton. We're going to absolutely batter them.
Obviously. Brighton doing all right, though. You know, they're a few points clear of the relegation zone. They've got some good players.
Good on them.
They put up a very creditable performance against Liverpool the other day. I thought Liverpool pretty lucky, to be honest, to get away with a win there. Nice little ground. Oh no, wait, this is Old Trafford, isn't it?
It's Old Trafford. We got beat by them in one of the nadir moments of the season.
That's right. Look, they're a good club with a decent squad. They won't get relegated this season. It's a great story because they were on their knees without a ground for years and years and years. So that said, we're going to absolutely smash them because this is Ollie's United. Come on, there's my analysis.
They've not been too clever on the road, although they did beat Bournemouth in the FA Cup on the road.
Yeah, goal scoring's a struggle for them. Obviously, Glenn Murray's got a few this season, but not too many other goals around the around the squad.
Just scrolling back through their fixtures to see any notable results, and saw 3-2 Brighton. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That was the one. That was the game against us. And it was only 3-2 because we scored a 90+5 penalty.
They got a draw against Arsenal over the Christmas period. They narrowly lost to Chelsea, narrowly lost to Liverpool. You know, they decent side.
Yeah, absolutely. But we this is. I mean, they're not that far below us in the league. But anyway, this is now we're now equal on points with Arsenal.
I know. I mean, this is amazing, really. United having the worst start for
off.
30 years or something. Arsenal went 22 games unbeaten. How does this all add up again?
I don't understand it, but yeah, we've conceded the same number of goals as them. They've just scored 2 more than us, which that number's getting overturned between now and the end of the season, isn't it? At this rate, we'll.
All right, let's do some questions.
All right, let's do it.
Sam Millet Sam on Twitter says, "Can you two stop bleating about politics and talk football?" How bad? Sorry, Sam.
I think. Oh, no, I could be wrong. I'm not going to say anything.
Stop talking politics and just dribble.
Honestly, people who... anyway, nothing.
Courtney Apaleco says, does Rashford have a good enough chant? Does he?
Rashford has an amazing chant of his own to the tune of Teenage Kicks.
That's true.
Right, which is cool as... And then he's got a cameo in the greatest chant of the last 5 years. What do people want? He's got an amazing chant of his own and a brilliant cameo.
Consider yourself corrected, Courtney.
And also the answer to Sam's question is absolutely not. If you don't like it, you have multiple options for entertainment elsewhere.
A question from the real Kent C1. Which is an interesting one, really, given how much of a bump Ollie has given many of the squad. Is Ollie just as confused as the rest of us while trying to figure out what Fred is good at? Why isn't he playing? I mean, Ollie's worked out his best 11 very, very quickly and made some bold choices around that. And he's not made, apart from the Reading game, a huge amount of changes between the games, a few around Christmas and stuff. But it's a pretty narrow group of players he's used, isn't it? Do you think Fred's got a chance with Ollie now or not?
I think it's not entirely impossible that Fred will play against Brighton, for example. I think Fred needs... I mean, it's going to be interesting to see whether this is rough first season and he grows into it, or this was not a good idea at all. I think it's one of those or the other. I was saying to friend of the show, Cal Gildart, Europa League man of the match in the Europa League final for Sevilla or something in a few years' time. I think he's got something, and I think he'd be a great La Liga player, and we'll see if he can be a Prem player. Brexit means Brexit.
Eric Leon says, was this the first game you can remember wishing Fellaini would come on to help seal the points? No.
This is the first time I've thought about Marouane Fellaini in the last 48 hours. I've genuinely forgot he existed, and it's upset me.
No, it's interesting. I mean, Ollie clearly wants to play with pace, whether that's pace with the ball, and as I said, he's prepared to go direct a little bit, or pace of movement, which was very much to the fore against Spurs, and Fellaini doesn't offer that. So
No,
neither does Matic, but that's another one.
And I think bringing Fellaini on when you need a goal in the last 10 minutes is great. Bringing Fellaini on to shore things up gives you, like when he came on against Everton and gave away a penalty within 5 seconds of coming on.
Football Nuggets at Mere Opinions. I never really understood this thing on Twitter where you'll have one name, which isn't your name, and a different handle. Surely that's confusing. It's confusing me.
Yeah, well, one of them you can change up all the time, innit? And the other one is...
Is Paul happy now? Happy enough now to come back to this platform?
I am extremely happy, and for that reason I shall continue to be happy
there
and
are
not
a
be
few
on Twitter.
in that vein. You know, United Twitter isn't nearly as toxic as it once was.
The thing is, like, the idea that I wasn't on Twitter because I didn't like Jose Mourinho, I don't like Twitter. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Plenty of questions about the manager. Anonymous United says, I'll leave her permanent or not. Discuss. We've got Kritika Bagarava. Sorry to completely butcher your name there. Ole Pochettino, which is the one.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, I noted the odds of the various managerial choices. So basically, as a top 10, we have Ole Poch, Zidane, Southgate, Allegro, Simeone, Conte, Blanc, and Eddie Howe as the leading contenders in terms of the odds. Southgate mentioned in the press this week. It's a really odd one. I mean, it's basically putting a trainee in charge of the team. I mean, he's done a decent job turning England around, and
he's done an amazing job
turning England around, and the summer was great and all of that. But he has never managed a club side.
Well, apart from when he managed Middlesbrough for 3 years or 4 or 5 years, even
at the top level, I should add. Yeah,
and I mean, mostly, why would you have Southgate when you've got the Man United equivalent of what Southgate's done for England, only almost certainly a better tactician?
Yeah. I mean, it's such a weird bunch, and obviously this is reflective of the bookies, not of Ed Woodward's thinking, because clearly Ed Woodward is going to make a sound strategic choice after assessing all the options and not jump into the first shiny thing he sees, obviously. Ole and Poch, you could both say attacking managers. Zidane, very attacking at Real Madrid, but that's the only job he's ever had. Southgate, we don't know what he is really in terms of a big club side. Allegri, I mean, fantastic job at Juventus. They're battering everybody, and
But like the football, is the football going to be good?
Yeah, Simeone. I mean, he's in the Mourinho camp of reactive managers, as is Blanc, I would say, as is Conte. I'd say that's probably unfair. I mean, on him, Eddie Howe, he's never ever going to get the job. So it's an interesting bunch, that one.
The thing about it is that there's such a bizarre collection, but you kind of wondering, is there a conversation beyond Solskjaer or Pochettino? So currently, one of the interesting things about this is like, what are the prices? Because those are the top 10, but Zidane is 7-1. So that means, like, if they pick 8 managers once out of 8 times, it'll be Zinedine Zidane, and everyone else is further out than that. So like you talked
it's not
about
a probabilistic
Simeone
model, but okay, yeah.
I mean, this it both is and isn't a probabilistic.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly, and they're trying to make a market as well.
Yeah.
But Solskjaer 6-4 and Pochettino's 2-1, and I am sure if you'd looked at what the next permanent manager odds for Solskjaer were 6 weeks ago, they'd have been astronomical.
Of course, yeah.
Like, things have changed massively, haven't they? But I at the moment, as of right now, I definitely want our next permanent manager to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But a large part of that is because I want it to end up being the right thing for that to be the case.
I wonder if you'll feel that way when United lose the next 5 on the bounce. Richard Crabb says, so the title's back on now. Genuinely unsure how to deal with being excited about United again. Advice appreciated. Yeah, just enjoy it, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
There will be bumps,
Yeah,
right? I'm sure of it. United, actually, look at the fixture list over the next couple of months. Lots and lots of winnable games, and plus games against City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Paris Saint-Germain twice.
Did you say Arsenal and not call that a winnable game?
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a trivial walk in the park at the moment against those cowardly chumps.
It's the Gooners.
Yeah.
Richard Saville says, is it me or is the director of football talk a bit like when Arsenal used to leak stories about their supposed transfer war chest every time the season tickets were due for a renewal?
It's so much.
We won't appoint a director of football at all, will he? Well, yeah, it's interesting. It is Turkey's voting for Christmas. I mean, he likes to think he's that player. I mean, the briefings that are out about who United is supposedly interested in when we didn't have a manager was interesting, isn't it? You know, I mean, it's like, I don't want to burst the bubble because we're all enjoying football again at the moment, but we know United are going to up in the transfer market in the summer because there just is no long-term strategy here.
Do we?
We do.
Like,
we do.
Have we? If we'd got our managerial appointments closer to right in the last 5 years, I think people would have a very different take on the transfer policy. I mean, it's definitely been scattershot, but a lot of that is because of the managerial turnover. And the kind of like the managerial appointments are almost more damning of the lack of direction of the club than the actual player purchases. Because the player purchases have not been that bad. Like, I'd love to take a kind of global average of percentage of success of football transfers.
Well, who's been a success? Post Fergie, who's
level.
been a success at United, player transfers?
No, but I'm sort of saying a lot of the problem with... Like, Angel Di Maria is a brilliant example, right? Angel Di Maria, you could say, is an utter failure of a transfer, but it wasn't buying Angel Di Maria that was the problem. It was sort of everything else, you know?
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, it's look, coming back to that discussion about the Patrice Evra video and me saying, look, I don't want to believe that it's all the managers. I think all the players. The clearly structural issues at United over the last 5 years have picked in Van Gaal, Moyes and Mourinho, three completely different managers. So there's clearly no plan. And within no plan, very good players are apt to fail. So much greater chance. But even so, you know, there's been some absolute duds as well. I mean, spending the money on Sanchez and Matic, aging players on the way down, and huge money, doesn't make any sense at all. It just doesn't. Fred, I have no idea why United spent 50 million in the summer. Mourinho didn't either.
Yeah, that's a proper weird one.
Lindelof is now looking like a good buy, isn't he? It's hard to say whether Bailly was or not. I don't know. I mean, he's got it.
Of course he was.
I'd love him to come good. You know, I really enjoy watching him play.
Comedy is important in life.
Yeah, no, that's right. Luke Shaw, I mean, you know, there's question marks about him, and I think it's fair to have question marks about him.
Yeah, but that's only because if he hadn't broken his leg.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of questions. Dipak Siani on Twitter says, Mourinho fans suggesting United's performance is no different from how he would have set them up and got them to play. Discuss the myth.
Oh, God. The world's gone to absolute heck in a handbasket.
Oh, sure. Look at the last 15 minutes of that game when United were kind of hanging on, went pretty deep and seemed to have run out of any kind of gas and weren't able to get forward. That's how the whole 90 minutes would have been. Honestly,
what is wrong with people? Like, facts are no longer interesting or relevant to people, are they? It's just literally whatever my pre-existing opinion is, that's what I'm going to base my interpretation of all events on. Like, we all do that somewhat,
no, I know.
But my goodness.
To our friend who asked us not to talk about politics, sorry, I just have to. The Mourinho cultists are like Donald Trump this week saying, I never said that Mexico would pay for the wall. Still on his website, paragraph 1 of his manifesto is Mexico will pay for the wall.
Yeah, so, you know, Mexico will pay for the wall, and that game against Spurs would have been the same and felt the same under Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's mad. These people, like, Did they not? I mean, it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough to have a worldview that's based on United without Mourinho is the same as with when we've scored 100 million goals and conceded 3 in 6 games, all of which we've won with everyone being happy.
Dear. That question from D. Castles at Johnny Berger. Any relation to Patrick? Don't know. How realistic is a top 4 finish this season?
Friend of the show, though, for sure. Johnny is. That's a name I recognise.
Top 4.
How
top
realistic
4.
is a top?
6 points off Chelsea.
Yeah, we've got to play him. So that's 3 points off Chelsea because, well, obviously, www. It's the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's the only letter in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's O, G, S, and W. That's it. Have we got to play them? We might have played them twice already, Yeah, I think we have actually played them twice already. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate because otherwise we definitely would have taken us. But I have no idea how realistic top 4 is because it's not in our own hands. I mean, is it realistic that we are going to we're going to get a serious number of points between now and the end of the season? It sure looks like it, doesn't it? Because this isn't just a brief lift in mood and a few better results. This is a new way of playing and a bunch of players who are super bought into it.
And United will get a lot of wins. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's very much possible, very much. Not definite, very much possible.
And so much of that is going to depend on how Sarri's Chelsea kind of recover from the sort of like half wobble they've been in because they started the season real well, didn't they? And it's only been really the last couple of months that things have been a bit dry for them. I don't think Spurs are going to crumble by any means, and neither Liverpool nor City. I think there's like a close to 0% chance that either of them are going to be sucked into it. So really, it is.
Yeah, there's probably just one place.
Chelsea,
and so it's a big ask, and Chelsea have got a head start with 15 games to go or so. But it's possible. It's not impossible at all. Didn't Pochettino flat out refuse to work with the director of football at Spurs? Asks Richard Pryor. Can't see us getting on and convincing him to be Ollie's assistant as well as working under a director. Well, no, not quite. I mean, Spurs have a pretty good scouting network, and obviously the managing director there has been at this game of wheeling and dealing for some years. So they do work with a different system. But it's not about Pochettino. He would work with the director of football at any elite club around Europe if he wants to do that.
Yeah, but it is going to be. To be honest, I'm not sacking Mike Phelan from Mauricio Pochettino. No way.
Someone's got to put the cones out. Go on, Poch.
MP. They've got the same initials, so they don't have to get new tracksuits. But
That's true. Saving money. Yeah, if you're in the same vein here. Is Ollie the greatest of all time in any sport ever? In which game week will we be crowned champions? 20 or 30-year contract for Ollie.
Man United's third best ever manager.
That's right. If Bielsa becomes the next United manager, will Ed make himself available for spying? Is that Ed Woodward or me?
No, that's you. That's a long-time Rantcast listeners will remember the running gag about how your job was an international man of mystery. True. That spy story was hilarious, and I really like the fact that Bielsa's just like, yeah, of course I did. What's wrong with you? Why wouldn't I?
I mean, to be honest, I thought this was common practice to send guys in trench coats to look at the opposition.
Yeah.
Should Ollie be back now with some signings? Asked United Potential.
No, I mean, no, not in January. I think we have to have much more certainty. But I mean, if they decide that he's their man, but there's no way they should be deciding that. We're all super excited. I'm definitely overexcited. But there's no way.
Full-time Devils. I've heard of those guys. Can we get another pun prediction after Bakuna on Mata almost came off?
It was so close, but it has happened in the past. Bakuna has fouled Mata to give away a penalty, creating one of the most perfect moments in human history. This is not one that you can come up with on the spot. This is tricky. Brighton. No, it's not happening.
Well, have a think about it, and
We wish you a Merry Christmas. Just a couple of weeks late.
No,
that's no good.
drop it into the Rancast WhatsApp group. I'll stick it on Twitter and take credit.
Okay, fine. That's fine. That's what I'm here for.
I missed about 50 questions off there, but we do have to end this show at some point. Thanks, everyone. I think I'm going to take a look at the Rancast numbers. I bet we've doubled in listenership in the last 3 weeks. Because it's nothing to do with the quality of the show. It's just the fact that people like listening to podcasts when United are winning.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like a few people have messaged me to say that they'd had enough.
And we're winning again, Paul. Are you sick of winning yet?
That was a bit easy. It was a bit of a Slam Lewis dunk, that wasn't it? I don't want to Anthony Knockaert your effort there, but it was a Davy proper Trump reference.
Gross. Pascal.
Yeah. Round of applause. Nice button on that one. They've got a backup goalkeeper called David Button.
We're proper funny, that is.
Yeah. I've already done that. You missed that. Anyway, I think.
Don't Johanna bash me for that one.
I think when we get to this point, it means we've all had enough. So, thank you everybody for listening. Ed, how many goals are we going to beat Brighton by? 4. I just want to make it clear, by the way, this is not hubris. If something goes disastrously wrong, that could happen, but it's excitement, right? That's what it is. I think we're going to win this game by 3-1. What do you think we're going to win this game by?
4-0 FC.
4-0. Yeah, 4-0 FC. Lovely. All right, and on that happy memory of a brief but weird period in our history, Ole's at the wheel. Ladies and gentlemen, please tell me, how good does it feel?
Pretty good. Good enough to go into iTunes and leave us a review because it helps others find the show.
Lovely. Thank you. Yeah, please do. And otherwise, we will see you next week.
Bye now.
Great memories at Wembley. More of that later. All right. Well, listen, both of my options, my first choice option and my second choice option, were from exactly the same season, about 2 months earlier. But only one of them fits the brief because we did say wins. But it's one of the most memorable moments of my football and United loving life, which I've definitely told this story on the podcast before. But I was at university in 1996. I had one small telly, like, you know, kids today don't know they're born. Like, this was a 12-inch TV probably. And it was set up in the kitchen, and final score was coming through, and United were like desperately trying to claw back the result against Newcastle, the league, the kind of gap to Newcastle, and the final score ticker tape came through, and it said QPR 1, Man United 0. And I turned to my friend and said, "It's fine, Eric will score." And then it pops up, Man United 1, QPR 1, Man United 1, brackets Cantona. And I was like jumping around, Eric! So like literally just celebrating a goal that I hadn't seen. It's not a very good goal. It's dead scrappy. But this is part of the run of 1-0s and that 1-1, where Eric scored every goal. We basically won the league. But the other one, of course, would be St James's Park in that same run, either the game before or after that, where Schmeichel was absolutely immense. Newcastle battered us in the first half of that game. Schmeichel was incredible. And then Eric scored that kind of half volley, bounced it down into...
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.